You have Song Sung Blue, which caters to like the 50 plus demographic, which I've long contended is one of the most marginalized demographics in for mainstream moviegoers. You have, I know it's on the back end kind of if it's released, but you have Five Nights at Freddy's 2 and you have Anaconda for like the horror crowd too. You've got David, which is another kids movie, which is honestly pretty good, the biblical animated movie, and you have The Housemaid as well, which caters for the thriller audience. So I feel like right now is just this really diverse crop of movies in theaters, and then you got Marty Supreme for like the hipster sickos. You know what I mean? Which I don't even know if you can technically call it that because the thing did come out. It's been out for 3 weeks now. It's made about $60 million worldwide, or in America alone, excuse me, about $60 million in America, and it's also topped the box office over Christmas weekend too. So it's done a hell of a job at really finding an audience and finding an audience right out of the gate. I think it has a lot to do with the power of Timothy Chalamet. I think Chalamet is quickly emerging, or has emerged really as one of the next generation of movie stars. And there's not many. There's not many. Like we talked about it a little bit, or like there was people talking about it when Mission Impossible, the last one came out, The Final Reckoning. Like Tom Cruise is like the last true movie star. But I see Chalamet as a butts and seats actor. And this is the kind of movie too. Like this is not the typical movie that comes in at number one with $30 million at the box office either. Like I think this is a movie that I think older audiences are fascinated by it because it just seems so different. The younger audiences, like people our age, in the millennial group and stuff like that, are familiar, obviously, with the Safdie brothers, even though this is just Josh, not Benny. We're familiar with the Safdie brothers from Uncut Gems, so that movie has really endured some great staying power, too. And then you have just an enormous cast of a lot of people who are not really actors either. And we're going to touch on that too. I mean, this is one of the most like throw a dart and hit a name cast list. We watched, after we saw this, we went back and watched Uncut Gems, Catherine and I. And Uncut Gems has a lot more like quote unquote stunt casting than you might remember. A lot of basketball players, a lot of like radio hosts and things like that, a lot of non-traditional actors. When it comes to Marty Supreme though, for your traditional actors, you have Timothy Chalamet, who plays a character. He plays Marty Mauser, known as Marty Supreme. This is based loosely on on the story of Marty Reisman, the table tennis player, who was famously flamboyant, very eccentric, a hustler. Kind of a get rich quick scheme kind of guy. This movie takes a little bit of liberty, I think, with his life. You got Chalamet, you got Gwyneth Paltrow, who plays like this fading Hollywood actress. You've got Odessa Azion, who plays Marty's girlfriend in the movie too, Rachel. You've got Kevin O'Leary, Shark Tank's very own, playing. Stop me if you've heard this one. A really wealthy, caustic asshole businessman. He had to strain for that one. He had to pull a DDL to get in character. Tyler Okanama, who you probably don't know by name, but that is actually Tyler, the creator, the rapper, is in this movie as Marty's best friend. Fran Drescher, another traditional actress, is his mother. So it just goes down the line of like a lot of unconventional choices, including one I'll talk about later. Also, I don't know. Does the name John Catsimatidis made anything to you?
No.
John Catsimatidis, he's another billionaire. He used to host this talk show about like real estate wealth and everything, which is where he made his money. He was like a running joke on the Artie Lang show. Artie Lang, the comedian, many years ago.
Sure, yeah,
like
yeah.
he plays the dad. He plays the father of Dion, who's the guy that makes the ping pong balls and everything. Who's like for Marty, who tries to be like his business partner. Well, anyway, though, the running joke with John Catsimatidis that I always liked, and I was reminded when I saw him in the movie, is that Artie Lang on his show he was a New Yorker, and he used to always say like business the New York scene has really fallen off in terms of names. He goes, because this was the time during Anthony Weiner too, so he's like, look at this. He's like, whatever happened to names like Rockefeller and Johnson? We got Weiner and Catsimatidis. So I always think of that.
That's pretty good.
Anyway though, Marty Supreme, Timothy Chalamet, new Josh Safdie joint. What say you about it, Dom? What do you want to tackle with this one?
Just how, like, going into this, I truly had no idea what this movie was about other than table tennis, and I knew it was going to be adult. It was going to be raunchy. It was going to be a little harder edge, which I'm thinking like, okay, is this the joke? Is this the bit? There's kind of this unspoken, it it is earnest, right? This is not Walk Hard, the Dewey Cox story, where that is a massive parody of this.
Right.
This is a serious film. But there is this underlying joke of like, hey, this is about table tennis, right? But truthfully, it's kind of not. It really isn't. It quickly wears its not wears itself out, but it quickly moves to the side, wayside. The whole table tennis thing. That's just a backdrop. What this really is as it's shown in the just incredible opening credit sequence of this film, as a certain body part morphs into a ping pong ball. You'll see the words Marty Supreme made in America, which truly could be kind of is the unofficial tagline of this film. But it is about drive, it is about dreams, it is about that one person that everyone, I hope, doesn't get to know but often does know in their life, and how they are just bad news. Because this whole movie, I want you to count, if you play a drinking game that might end you that might end you up in the hospital, how many times do these characters promise something and be like, hey, I'll pay you back, hey, I got you with this, hey man, when have I ever let you down? How many deals and promises and just real scummy ass shit do really just a couple of these characters do, a few of these characters do, to pretty much everyone else? This is an unlikable protagonist story to the extreme. It's like the anti-Forrest Gump, not in the sense that you're going through history, but more like, hey, there's this one character and they're just tornadoing through all these different other side characters. But Forrest Gump, he's like, everything's good for all of these people. Marty Supreme, bad. Just everyone is profoundly worse off knowing Marty. But how this film is able to still make Marty, or at least give him a sense of likability, I would think you would find yourself rooting for him at certain parts and then just absolutely hating him in others. This is a big character vehicle for Chalamet. So I'm glad we watched it.
He is such an inextricable part of this movie. Not only is his character obviously the title of the movie, but I got to be honest, man, this is the kind of like tour de force performance for Chalamet, who's only 30 years old too.
Mm-hmm.
I think that bears repeating. Chalamet was always, and we've reviewed a few Chalamet movies on the show, and I've liked him, but I've thought in the last few years he's grown exponentially, and I've started seeing it really in Bones and All. I started seeing it because early on in his career, in like A Rainy Day in New York and even Dune, I felt like he kind of got swallowed by like
Yes.
the other
The
performers in
Sandworm?
the
No,
movie.
okay.
No, not literally. But I felt like he kind of gotten like usurped very easily. He almost kind of had like the bland protagonist issue of like he didn't really have his own sort of like he didn't find his style yet. And then if he was often in movies with other bigger people that just kind of like overtook, the setting and overtook the scene and everything like that. He has impressed the hell out of me in recent years, and I think this is going to be the one that I think will net him the Oscar too. It was surprisingly.
You think he'll win it?
I think he'll win it. I think he'll win it with this one. For I thought it would have been last year with Bob Dylan in A Complete Unknown.
I did not
thought
see
that
that
was
one.
going. I thought it was going to be that. But I also think they'll give it to This is not to besmirch Salome as much as it is, but this I almost think is like because Uncut Gems did not get any Oscar nominations when it came out. Uncut Gems didn't get any Oscars. I almost feel like the Academy will give it to Chalamet and they'll give Safdie a nomination, being like almost like the Scorsese way of like, yeah, we fucked up not giving Uncut Gems anything. Like, we apologize for that. But he is so good here. And one of the reasons he's so good here is the fact that like he's got that like fast talking con artist bullshit, speech down to a science, man. He's arresting though. like a good con artist, like a good hustler
I
is.
profoundly
He's
hated
so
him.
good
I
here.
profoundly hated him
Oh,
this
he's
whole time,
despicable.
which is like truly a testament to his acting. Like great work. You're terrible.
He's despicable here. Like the way he treats Rachel, the way he treats his buddy Dion, who's played by Luke Manley. Like the way he treats everybody. I mean, the thing I loved the thing I loved watching with him though, and it's a credit to the writing too, which is Josh Safdie and Bronstein is his last name, Ronald Bronstein. Um, One of the things I love though is how he weasels himself
Mm-hmm.
into people's lives. Like he's trying to get close to Gwyneth Paltrow's Kay Stone, the actress, who's married to Kevin O'Leary's character Rockwell, and he calls her hotel room, and then he like offers to pay for the company meal, the Rockwell Inc.'s meal, and then that elicits this conversation with Kevin O'Leary, and just the way.
Live and online, it's Sleepless with Steve and the Movie Book Club with your host, Steve Pulaski.
Back and better than ever. It's Sleepless with Steve. We're live on YouTube. We come to you live and in living color every Wednesday. And in today in particular, all smiles here on Sleepless with Steve. Today in particular with the biggest show of the year. Debatably, I think the show we most look forward to, I feel like it's a coin flip between this or the worst list. There's obviously the Oscar show too, the post-Oscar show that's always big too. But for the next 2 weeks, we have our 2025 yearly recap. This week, we're tackling our 5 favorite films. Next week, we're tackling our 5 worst films. Had to compile that slideshow together, make it look all nicey nice. We've been doing it since Sleepless since we revived it back in April of 2020. Been doing it with that sort of format. This is a long show. We've got it under, I think, 90 minutes in the past. We've got it under 90 minutes. We've got it like an hour and 15. It's like the Oscar telecast. We try not to go too long-winded. So I don't know if you guys want if you guys want to say any words beforehand, or are we just going to or am I just going to set the parameters and we're going to be off and running? What do you guys want to do?
Let's just effing do it, bro.
I'm fine with just diving right in.
I'm totally fine with that too, because like I said, these are movies that we love. These are the best movies that we want to highlight this year. We're going to have a lot to say about them. Really quick before we start, the order in which we are going to go is me, then Dom, then Joe. Joe is not pulling like quadruple duty tonight, not only hosting the show and making sure we're live and in living color, but also the fact that he is also handling the slideshows as well. So I want to make sure I give him the opportunity, make sure I vote or I vocalize my cues and my segs and everything like that to make sure you are ready. Have I bided you enough time, Joe, to
Just
kick off with this?
1 second, because I'm just gonna use. I forgot how I did the layout for this, because it's been a whole month. Okay, there we
You are
go.
totally you are totally fine, man. No, I know this is kind of a lofty undertaking the way we do it, but I appreciate you guys committed. I love seeing the slideshows too. I think
No,
this
no,
is
you're good.
this is fun. I keep mine pretty basic, so I'm always interested to see what kind of curveballs you throw. I also have, for what it's worth, I have the best and worst lists from last year too. I have those. Won't go into the worst one this week, but the I have the best one. I have your guys' top five from last year as well.
Okay, you are all good to go.
Are we ready? Okay, so I'm going to start this one off. My number five favorite film of 2025 is Andrew DeYoung's Friendship. Reviewed it on the show with Dom. Remember that back when it came out in the spring. And I didn't know then it was going to make my list. I knew I really liked it. But it was how much I was quoting it and thinking about it and going on YouTube and finding the clips again. And if that's not the hallmark of a really good comedy or a really good movie in general, I don't know what is. This movie, and I think we even talked about it on the show. The most surprising thing about this is Tim Robinson's like feature film debut, I guess you could say. He's been in a lot of movies. This is him in the starring role alongside Paul Rudd. I think the thing that kind of shocked both of us, Dom, I remember us mentioning this, is that it wasn't until the end credits that I realized I just assumed the entire way. And then I see the end credits and I'm like, really? Robinson didn't write this? He didn't have any. I'm sure he had input, but
Neither
he's.
written nor directed, because you would think this is like a full vehicle for him, right?
Yeah, I'm not. I wasn't shocked. I knew he didn't direct it. I knew that. I was shocked he didn't write it or co-write it or come up with the story. And then I read that Andrew DeYoung came up with the story and wrote it with Robinson in mind. And he said, "Thank God I got Robinson, or it was all gonna fall apart." Or like,
Yeah, I
because
was
I
gonna say
wrote.
what a swing that was. Swing for the fences.
Seriously. So I that's the one of the biggest surprises I think of any movie of 2025 was that Tim Robinson did not write Friendship, but if you've seen that Netflix show I Think You Should Leave or you've seen any of his movies or shows rather, and there's that new one The Chair Company too, you know what he is about. Top shelf cringe comedy can either be like uncomfortably hilarious or annoyingly unfunny. And I honestly think it sounds like a hot take. I think Tim Robinson's one of the funniest men alive or at this current moment. I think this is a guy who inhabits this sort of like subjugated beta male character who can't hang very well. And he puts it on full display here. The biggest question going into this movie was can Tim Robinson's breed of like frantic yelling and awkwardness and facial expressions can they sustain a movie, and they absolutely can. Paul Rudd's his perfect plus one, in contrast to like a movie like Death of the Unicorn where he plays like a rare dick in the movie. He's actually really kind of just like a normie in this, and it's refreshing because he plays that so well.
Mm-hmm.
I love this one. I think at its essence, it's really just about a guy who just wants to have his neighbor as a friend and be one of the guys, but he cannot hang. And it's all summarized in the tagline: "Men shouldn't have friends." It's a funny movie. And it's one I'm going to gleefully revisit for years to come. It felt great to laugh in a theater again. I've done that. I think we did that more in 2025 than we have in recent years. Friendship's my number five, currently available to watch on Hulu.
Comedy's still alive. No, comedy's not dead yet. For me, my number five this year has got to be, here we go, Warfare, directed by Ray Mendoza and Alex Garland, a joint operation between those two directors. And look, when we saw Civil War coming out of the movie Civil War, I was of a couple minds about that movie, and which means I think it was a thoroughly thought-provoking piece of art, if a bit muddled in its messaging, or kind of all over the place. But ultimately, I think we all came to agreement that the action was very well done, particularly in those last like 15, 20 minutes. What purpose does it serve? But in terms of the actual action itself was good. And then when it was announced that Warfare was coming out, Garland's next project, I was concerned. It's like, okay, is this just going to be the action parts of Civil War without any of the actual any thought-provoking commentary whatsoever? And then when we actually sat down and watched it, I was very much satisfied that yes, this is so bare bones. I don't any war movie inherent there's that saying that any war movie is inherently a pro-war movie just by the way that you are sitting and watching it and you get to live free of any danger by the credits. But there are movies that toe very close to the line, and I think this is a little closer to that. Is it fully full-throated anti-war? I don't think so, but I think it straddles a line a lot closer, and I think this is the bare minimum that movie should approach broach the topic as opposed to being rah rah America, particularly in 2026. But yes, I was thoroughly impressed by, of course, the action, but just how effed up these guys get throughout the whole thing. That yeah, obviously war isn't pretty, but to the way the lengths that this movie goes to show it, there is one particular scene, and I'll finish with this. One particular scene that crosses my mind where there is a guy who's sent in as part of a reinforcement group, reinforcing task force, and he's like, "Yeah, that's right, motherfuckers. We're fucking or I don't know what he says, but like, so we're SEALs or Marines or whatever. Yeah,
Yeah,
hell yeah." And then he's
he's the
like,
Semper Fi guy.
exactly. Whatever branch he's actually in, he is effectively the Semper Fi guy, and he's like, "Hell yeah, motherfucker!" And everyone's like, "Can you fucking get a hold of yourself? What the hell?" And I think that was kind of like the vibe of the movie, where it's like, no, this is how war is actually like, even for these top tier guys. And I thought it was in some ways for this genre of movie where due to the internet, the extraction of social media of any and all context and meaning, it is very simple for people to get bogged down in what type of weapons are they carrying. How does this shot look in terms of how badass they look. What's the ammo type, or they wouldn't be doing this, they would be doing that. And it's like, okay, but did you actually consume the message of the film? And did you elicit an emotional response? And I think Warfare gets a little closer to that. They're going to be a little more difficult to extract that context, but it inevitably will on YouTube Shorts and TikTok and whatnot. But yes, my number five easily is Warfare as a war movie, not aficionado, but a fan of the genre. This is definitely in there.
Plethora of great performances too, including Will
Yes.
Poulter, DeFaro Wunatai, and also guy I love. Glad he's getting more roles. Charles Melton from May
Yeah.
December. Really big fan. Become a big Charles Melton guy over the last year and a half too. Great choice on Warfare.
That
Mhm.
movie too, the way it ends, I always just sit there because I've seen it twice now. I showed it to me and my friends. We watched it in the most like anti, like, what Dom was saying, the opposite. We were like, "Oh, Battlefield's releasing soon. We should watch Warfare." Like,
But yeah, no, that's how it is though.
yeah,
It's true.
That's how the masses consume this stuff.
yeah.
And
But I was
look,
telling my friends while
inevitably,
watching it, I'm like, it's not like your typical war movie. By the end, you're gonna be like, "What the fuck was the point of them being there?" I'm like, that's kind of the message. What
that's
was
the
the point of them?
message.
I'm
Yeah.
like, what was the point of them being there, suffering through all that, just for what? Nothing.
And the ending minute or 5 minutes where it's everyone coming, all the people
The
left
residents.
behind, the
Yeah,
Americans have left, and now it's all the opposing forces and the family of whom the house they occupy. It's like they're
yeah.
coming out of it as if like a storm has just passed, and like that's the most free these people have felt is when the
Yeah.
Americans leave. I'm like,
It's like
eh,
Twister, except the United States Army is the tornado.
holy shit, holy fuck. I'm so glad you said that, dude.
It slaps you across the face at the end because it lingers on that final shot for like 15, 20 seconds, and it dawns on you. It's like, well, what the fuck was the purpose of all of that?
Yeah.
Hmm.
Like,
Good movie, good movie. Great choice, too. My 2025 picks. Oh, we're going to start with number five here. My number five is a movie that, let me start off by saying this, actually. I meant to say this actually before I got to number five. In the time that we rebooted Sleepless, I've had a hard time. I haven't had this hard of a time choosing a top 5, also a top 10, like throughout the time we rebooted this until this year. This year I saw 60 films. It's not as many as I did during the college run of this show, which was like 97 thanks to MoviePass. But since we rebooted this show, I've seen 60, and I have to say majority of them I've enjoyed. And of that majority, there was a good amount of them that I was like, shit, I don't know where to put you in my top 5, 10, or even honorable mention wise, because this is actually pretty tough. So, without further ado, my number 5 is starting out with a film that I was very excited for, is Weapons. Weapons is directed by Zach Kreger, and you can watch it currently either on HBO Max or HBO, whatever the hell it's called now. I kind of forgot already what the hell the app is called. I just always been calling it HBO. I still don't want to give away too much about this movie, but let me say this. Ever since 2018, where like we're coming off the year of Jordan Peele's Get Out, and in 2018 we had Quiet Place, Bird Box, Hereditary, Annihilation, Upgrade, and even though this is part of a franchise, the Halloween reboot from Blumhouse, we had this kind of like resurgence of horror movies, but also just original or different takes with horror movies. Like what they did with the Halloween trilogy at Blumhouse, very different from what I thought that trilogy was going to be when they first announced it, where it was like, all right, well, we're just going to get more Halloween movies where Michael Myers goes around and slashes people. And we're one of the few people that actually enjoy where that direction went with that trilogy. But in 2018, you had all these original horror films that, like, stuff like Quiet Place spawned its own franchise, and Hereditary gave birth to, you know, Ari Aster's career, and he went to go make Midsummer after that and everything. As the years went on, it felt like movie studios gave more and more carte blanche to directors who wanted to make horror films. You want to do something original? Fine, have free reign with it. And Weapons, to me, along with another movie that came out this year, Weapons to me is one of those movies that it's just like, this is like amazing. That like we get an original horror movie that's given a great budget, given to a director with a vision, and seeing where they can run with it. The entire time I was watching this movie, similar to Barbarian, I was saying, what the F is going on? But with each reveal, I was saying it louder, and I was more shocked each time. And for a movie that's done through a multi-perspective point of view, never once did I feel lost. I always felt like the movie was moving forward, even though with each perspective, it feels like the movie, you know, you could think that, oh, we're starting from the beginning again. However, with every detail you learn from the person's previous story, you're kind of even more antsy as you're getting closer and closer to each other character. Like, okay, hold on a minute. Like, you know, last time you were with this character, this was happening, and then it popped up at the end. It's just like, where is this all leading to? It's so damn good. If you haven't watched it yet, I highly recommend it. Even if you're not into horror movies, I don't think it's as terrifying as some of the other. I don't think it's even close to as terrifying as Barbarian. Barbarian is like, for people like Dom, and Dom, I'm not trying to call you out here or anything, but like horror movies are not your jam. I think you can handle Weapons way more in comparison to Barbarian. Like, there's also some great. There's also some
comparison. Okay, in comparison to Barbarian. Okay, sure.
Yeah. Like, there's some great themes in Weapons too that you would probably be like, I really like where this is going. There's a whole thing about grief in this movie. If you know where Zach Kreger is from, the whitest kids you know, then you probably know what I'm talking about in terms of grief, based on the people who were a part of that group. And lastly, this has one of my favorite casts this year. I know, like, this year alone, there's been a plethora of great casts to choose from, and some of which I'm going to go over in the movies that I bring up later on in my list. But if I had to choose one, I really think everybody here is on their A game. Everybody, including the young actor here. Crap, I was supposed to have his name ready. Oh my god. I hate slowing down the show for this reason.
Carrie Christopher.
Carrie Christopher, thank you, who plays the little boy Alex. We already had like a younger kid play in 28 years later. We already had a performance like that from a young kid. So coming off of like that movie, it's like, wow, that kid's like 12 years old and he did that good of a performance. Let's see how this like 9-year-old does. And he completely owns this movie, man. He is the final part of the story too. You spend the most time with him, I would say, as well. And he knocks it out of the park. He's just as good as Brolin. He's just as good as Benedict Wong. he's as great. He's just as good as Julia Garner and everybody else that comes up in this movie. He holds his own for as young as he is. He's one of the best parts about this movie. My number 5 is Weapons.
Biting my tongue because I have a hunch that that movie is going to be brought back sometime again during this show. That's our number 5. We're going to bounce into number 4 already. Back to me again. So my number 4 favorite film of 2025 is a little movie called Ephus, directed by Carson Lund, his directorial debut. Ephus refers to, if you don't know, I didn't know, admittedly, I had to Google it before I watched the movie. In baseball, it is a very rare, I think there's a couple, I think there's like, I think I read somewhere there's like 3.5 Ephus pitches in an MLB season. They're not common. They're really not common. It's a type of pitch that is like high arching but has low velocity, so it's a lot slower to get to the plate. You're used to like 90-mile-an-hour fastballs and stuff. This is a pitch that like takes its time, and it's geared to throw off a batter's sense of rhythm and timing. This is a really auspicious debut from Carson Lund. One of the most affecting movies of the year. I was really grateful we got to review it on Sleepless. This movie focuses on two rival businesses, men who are part of two different businesses, and they gather on this ball field it seems like every week or so, once a month or something like that, to play a scrimmage baseball game. And this game is particularly ceremonious because it's going to be the last game they play on this field before the field is then closed. They're going to use it as a site to build a school. And on that note, it's like a eulogy to this field. This movie, though, has a lot to say about male bonding. And one of the most unique things about it is this movie is, in some ways, very uncinematic and very casual. Although I can only imagine that this thing was very, very tough to shoot in the manner that they did. It's a lot of wide angle shots of the field. Most of the dialogue is sparse, heard in the background. This is the kind of movie where you could use subtitles to, so you can pick up on the nuances of it. Sometimes it's not even dialogue at all. It's just people talking to themselves or just making a comment generally. It does take you into manager discussing with a player and things like that, or player in the outfield or something like that. But it's not a very conventionally dialogue driven movie in that way. It's very easygoing. It's very languid. And it's got some great lines in it. When I did my review at stevepulaski.com, I took some of my favorite quotes from the movie and punctuated like every 3 paragraphs with quotes from the movie. There's some really great funny lines in here that work out of context, but I want to save them for you. This also reminded me a little bit of a great short I read, a novella I read year and a half ago or so, called Last Night at the Lobster, which is about the last day at this Red Lobster restaurant that's closing down, and it follows the crew. Reminds me a lot of that movie. Beautifully shot, beautifully conducted. Carson Lund is a name to watch now, and this movie is so authentic, I thought. And Joe attested to it too, based on his experience with softball and stuff like that. I thought for sure watching this movie that Carson Lund was a minor league player of some sort. I thought for sure that he had some sort of baseball career, collegiate or whatever. It doesn't seem like he has any connection to the sport other than being a fan, which is what I also find most impressive too about this movie. Number 4 on my list is Ephus. You can currently rent it on Fandango at home. You can also purchase, I believe via Music Box Theater in Chicago's website. They have a special edition Blu-ray that comes with playing cards of the players, which I had to pick up. That was a terrific purchase. Ephus number 4.
My favorite thing about that movie is, it feels like you're in a lived-in world the entire time because of all the background characters and everything. It's like my favorite way of making a movie is where it feels like you're living in a real world situation, not real world situation, but like a real time event.
This is all they have. Like, we don't see much beyond the baseball field. It's literally just the game. Yeah. The movie definitely frames it like, yeah, this is all they have. And maybe it's not. Maybe that's unfair to say. But I can certainly say that it captures a beautiful moment in time, a crossroads for all of these people's lives, and it's bittersweet, almost pathetic at various points. But there is a, like baseball itself, there is a rugged determination to just see it to the end. And that's what it's like watching a baseball game anyway. So, in that sense, it's the best baseball game to have ever been made.
Good stuff. I'm glad we got to review it on the show.
Me too. All right. I guess number 4 is friendship. Number 4 is friendship. And I don't think there was going to be any surprise that this appeared on my list. I am I'm just happy that, that they nailed the tone of this thing and the approach of this thing, that they didn't drop the ball at the end. And there are just some really good gags here. I know that for both of these actors, they are like a subgenre in and of just them. You could just call the subgenre them, right? These just say their name, right? Like, hey, the Paul Rudd subgenre, the Tim Robinson subgenre. But honestly, there is something magic with these putting these two together for this film and for this project. Just as we had mentioned before, so I'll be very quick about it. The thesis for this whole movie is basically a line where Tim Robinson says more or less, I'm not gonna nail it, but he says, "You guys took me in too much, too fast. You can't just do that. And then you left me, and you just can't do that." And there's just something about the rawness of that is funny. Like that's just a funny line in the context of their conversation. And this movie, the thing about cringe comedy, when done effectively, when done smartly, it pokes and prods at all of the awkwardness that is true to life. Another, I bring it up all the time, but Barry, HBO's Barry, starring Bill Hader, that is another series that is another piece of art that does that. And but Friendship does it in a condensed 2 hour time frame, and I'm very much happy for it. Just God, we could go around in a circle naming our top 5 gags from this movie. But for me, it has to be the drug trip at Subway, where he goes to Subway in the drug trip, and then he wakes up, and it's like, oh, that was it. That's your whole trip. That's all it is, and just
The
God,
eatery?
I knew like 20 seconds into when he arrives at the Subway in the trip, where I'm like, holy shit, this is not the gag, is it? Is this the gag? And I'm like, holy shit, this is the gag. And I was just I think I was cackling in the theater. It's so good. This God, I love this movie.
I'm
Your name
so
is
pissed I
your name
missed
is.
out on this.
You still haven't seen it?
I still haven't seen it. I know it's on HBO now, I think, though.
Oh, I've shit. If I knew that, I wouldn't have said that. But
No,
either
no, no,
way.
you're fine. I mean, I've had a whole like fucking year to see this movie, and I just didn't. And I love both the leads in this movie.
I'm still just gonna say this. Jim, your name is Jim? No, it's Jimp. Like jump with an I. Some of the gags, a lot of it doesn't work. Like just if you just because it's one of those things where it's all in the delivery. It's all in Robinson's
Mhm.
delivery and how he executes it. Like the line, I can't remember the character's name, but he's like, I can't stop thinking about you and your busty daughter.
What I is the screenplay available? I would love to know what was written and what was improvised. I
I
would
would love
love to know.
it's probably a fine line, or it's probably a fine line of stuff. Because Robinson, the sketch comic in him was like, well, let's take it this way. Like,
Hmm.
let me try a couple versions of this. You get that impression of the movie too.
Yeah.
Yeah, Joe, that needs to be top of your watch list, man.
There,
That was just a bold, beautiful comedy.
like I said, I mean, there's still movies. I haven't seen Hamnet yet, and I've heard great
Neither have
things
I.
about that. Oh, okay. Well, I was gonna say, I thought you were gonna say like, oh, dude, you gotta see that too. It's great. I didn't see the Springsteen movie. I heard great things about that. Like, so I haven't seen Deliver Me from Nowhere. There's plenty of things I haven't seen, but Friendship was like one. It came out such a bad time for me, where it was like I was missing Sleepless that week, so that's why I didn't like run out and see it. And then of course, like it's one of those movies too, where it's like if I didn't see it within the first 2 weeks, then it didn't just leave theaters; it was still there. But the two choices of showtimes I had were fucking crack of dawn morning or late at night, 10 o'clock,
Yeah,
and it's like, all right, well,
7:50 a.m. or 10:30 p.m.
yeah. I hate that so much. Anyways, my number 4. somebody already brought it up on their list. So luckily, I kind of expected this to happen. I was like, look, I feel like there's gonna be two movies that are gonna pop up on my list that are gonna be on other people's lists, and they might have it higher or they might be before me. So I'm gonna make sure I write two versions of this. So number 4, because this person kind of hit on a lot of the points that like I was gonna hit on as well. My number 4 is EFIS as well.
Gang, gang.
Steve, I cannot thank you enough for being like, no, we're putting this on the schedule. We're reviewing this movie because this movie spoke to me. I love this movie. I own it as well. I am going to buy that special edition. Unfortunately, when I ordered it, they were out of stock, so I just went with a normal Blu-ray copy for right now. But I'm going to order it once I get this next paycheck and maybe a little bit of a tax return. It's kind of a little gift for myself. But look, what I wrote down as like a backup thing was just kind of like why this movie spoke to me. Going away to college and like, you know, experiencing being in this community of people, like, you know, you're there and everybody's on the same page. We're all here to get an education, and while we're here, we're also gonna, like, you know, have a little bit of fun, join a club, play some recreational sports, maybe join a sports team, yada yada yada. So what? Do a movie show from 12 to 3 a.m. and, like, you know, wonder what you're doing with your life sometimes when you're just sitting there like, oh my god, it's 3 o'clock in the morning, we haven't finished this review. Anyway, but you know, going away to college and doing all that and being surrounded by these people and everything, and then you go back home for the summer, and then you're like, dude, I cannot wait to go back to school. I can't wait to see Steve. I can't wait to see Dom, even though you guys weren't there my senior year. But I can't wait to be with the guys, review stuff. I can't wait to go and play rec sports again. I just can't wait to go back there. And then at some point, you have to move on from it. And it's like, oh shit, like this sucks. I have to say goodbye to the people I was seeing on a daily basis. You know, I would wake up, see my roommates, we would go grab something to eat, then we all split off and go to classes, meet back up, talk about how everything's going, grab lunch together, then go to our next classes. You know, there was like a rhythm to it. There was like a familiarity to it. And the closest I've gotten since graduating college, because, you know, and then it became just go to work, go home. And that's what it was during the summer when I was away from school. Go to work, come home. But, you know, the closest I've gotten to it has been adult recreational sports. And that's kind of the approach that that is the approach EFIS takes, which is covering this whole thing of just connection. I mean, male connection in this one, but I'm in a co-ed league. I have done men-only leagues, and I very much see, you know, the similarities in both leagues compared to EFIS. But having this sense of a third place, I think, is what we called it during our review, where it's just like you have your workplace, you have your home, but then there's this third place. Typically, alcohol is involved, and it is involved in my adult recreational leagues, just like it is in college as well. But it's just like, you know, you allow yourself to be a little more loose, a little more free, because, you know, it's not like you have to have a presence like you do at work, and it's not like you're at home where you just want to relax, or, you know, you have to get stuff done around the house, whatever it may be. You're here and you're with people, you're having a great time, you're playing sports, you're hanging out with everyone, and it's just the human connection. And while EFIS, you know, they're playing a baseball game throughout like majority of its runtime, it's all about the human connection. It's all about the history you feel with everybody, the way they interact, the one-liners they give each other, the shit talking that they do. But then especially the ending where they're watching a fireworks show and slowly everyone's leaving one by one, and you just feel the weight of like, this is something they're going to miss because it's something they're never going to have back after this. And they're probably not going to see each other again. And that's how I felt leaving college. There are people, I mean, I'm grateful to still do this show with you guys and everything, but there's people I still haven't seen from college, and it sucks. You know, that's part of growing up. Even with modern technology, I'm able to stay in contact with majority of people, but like not everybody. And EFIS, I think, does such a great job at like capturing that feeling of having this third place, of making human connection. And if you have the time, and if you don't mind paying for an on-demand movie, EFIS is definitely worth checking out. If you have a movie subscription, which I don't know how much they cost, but if you have a movie subscription, it is streaming there. Otherwise, please support the Music Box Theater in Chicago.
Hell
I
yeah.
think Mubi is $10.99 a month because I'm a member of the web. I'm a member of the website. I'm not a member of the streaming service, but I'm a member of the website, so I see it advertised. I want to say it's $10.99. No, very lovingly said about a truly great film. That's one of the best sports movies in years, and there's been a lot of really good sports movies over the last couple of years. This is one of the best ones because it's really and the great part about it too, it's kind of like Marty Supreme in a way. Now they're totally different in terms of tone and energies, but they're similar in the regard that the sport itself is not center stage. It's less about the outcome
Yeah.
and less about the intricacies of the game than it is about the people behind it. And that's what I think makes it really, really poignant and tender. We're
There is
coming
like
up
a
on our.
Safdie brother moment in that movie though, where like a car pulls up and like madness
Oh,
occurs
yeah.
for like 2 minutes.
That there is one of the quotes in my review. That is one of the quotes in my review. Look at you, you're a grown man playing a fucking kid's game. Great film. Well, I'm keeping an eye on Carson Lund. I don't know what the hell he's gonna do next, but that's a guy to watch. Like, when it comes to just like rock solid, fascinating debuts. We're coming up on our first of probably what's going to end up being 2 Zoom-sponsored intermissions here. When we come back, we are going to give our third and second favorite films of 2025. So don't go anywhere. It's Sleepless with Steve. It's on one of our biggest shows of the year, live on YouTube on this Wednesday evening. I will prove to you that I'm one of the biggest Weird Al nerds to ever walk the earth. What is the opening line in this movie? It's heard on the radio when Daniel Radcliffe as Al is or it's not Daniel Radcliffe at that point, but when Weird Al is young and listening to that radio under his covers, a Dr. Demento show, the opening line of the movie, and it comes from the radio, it's like, gabardine suits are 30% off. No Life Me over here did the Leonardo DiCaprio point at the TV screen and said to nobody except for my 2 long-suffering cats over here. That's a reference to his parody of King of Pain by the Police called King of Suede.
Nice.
In King of Suede, he plays a fabric salesman who owns a fabric store. And the opening line of that song, there's a sale on our gabardine suits today. They're all 30% off from yesterday. Your boy knew that. And I bet you there's less than 10 people that caught that. I bet you there's less than 10 people that caught that because King of Suede is one of my favorite Al songs.
There are some Weird Al super stands out there. And you are one of them, for sure. But I think there's more than you might be letting on. But
I want to know how many people picked up on gabardine suits being 30% off. But anyway, though, this is the long-awaited adaptation of the Funny or Die sketch that came out, 12 years ago. Directed by the same man who directed the movie, Eric Apple.
Directed the sketch?
Yeah, he directed the sketch, too. Eric Apple directed the Funny or Die sketch in 2010. That had Aaron Paul. This one has a whacked-out, weird, unhinged performance by Daniel Radcliffe, which is the crowning jewel of this movie. Daniel Radcliffe is great. And the funny joke about this, too, like there's a couple things with Daniel Radcliffe playing Al that's funny in itself. Number one, he looks like him to a degree. You can tell there's a lot of costuming to make him look like Weird Al, number one.
Yeah.
And number two, I don't know if you know this, Weird Al is a tall drink of water. That guy's like 6'3", 6'4".
He's tall as shit.
He's huge. And it's hard because you see him in videos, it doesn't do him justice. You look at him like standing next to fans. The guy is a giant. I saw him in concert, and I was like maybe 6 rows back. He's huge. He's a towering figure. And Daniel Radcliffe is probably my height, like 5'10", 5'11". So that's kind of one of the jokes of this movie, too, is that, like, if you catch it, is like, man, he's definitely shorter than Al by several inches. But this movie is very much not to be taken seriously. This is a total satire, a parody movie. Probably one of the first parody movies we've gotten in a long, long time.
Yeah, man.
That is sort of an exaggerated, hyper-exaggerated, not only telling of Weird Al's life, but also the rock and roll biopic genre in general, which we have quite a few examples to go off of over the last several years: Bohemian Rhapsody, Rocket Man, and Elvis. However you feel about those 3 movies, and I feel some type of way about each. Back and better than ever, continuing on with our 5 favorite films of 2025. It's Sleepless with Steve live on YouTube, live and in living color every Wednesday evening at 6:30 Central Time. We're going to keep it going right now. Already on pick number 3. So It is back to me right now, and we will continue on after me, then Dom, then Joe. So without further ado, my number 3 favorite film of 2025 is Magazine Dreams, a movie I think 25 people saw collectively, including me and Catherine. This was a movie that I'm going to take a minute here and explain this for a second. This, I am a firm believer. If Jonathan Majors didn't prove to kind of be a piece of shit, this thing would have honestly been a potential awards contender right about now. And I did not even know this thing actually came out. This was when Jonathan Majors went through the domestic violence accusations and everything. This was one of the first movies they pulled of his from a release. And then it wasn't until like back in I think July, Catherine and I were at Walmart and I saw the DVD on the shelf and I'm like, I had no idea this thing came out. This thing premiered back at Sundance in 2023. And I just assumed it wasn't going to come out. It was going to be like Louis C.K.'s movie I Love You Daddy. Like it was just not going to come out.
Mhm.
But this movie is really good. It's really a fascinating work. It's directed by Elijah Bynum and Jonathan Majors plays a guy named Killian who's a bodybuilder. He's not the sharpest tool in the shed either, and the movie makes that pretty clear. But he's a bodybuilder, and he's put his body through like absolute turmoil. He takes steroids, he works out, he eats nothing but protein and stuff, and he puts himself through these grueling workouts and such. And he's trying to become like a world champion bodybuilder. He strikes up a pen pal friendship with one of the bodybuilders that he looks up to. He's trying to ask this woman at the grocery store out on a date. He lives with his like subtly abusive grandfather. And it this is a movie too that I think really illustrates really well like the loneliness in our culture, specifically like what happens with male loneliness, like and men who have like adopted the internet as their only outlet in the modern day. And this is a movie that really shows that, I think, really well. These like socially inept, bitterly unloved, angry men that that become obsessed with it, be it violence, video games, porn, or in this case bodybuilding. um and Killian has like some of the it's funny, like he's an interesting character. He's ripe for a dissertation of some kind because he knows what he's doing isn't healthy, especially the steroids and stuff. He knows what he's doing isn't healthy. He knows that he doesn't have like the social proclivity to like make friends conventionally, and he knows it just enough that he doesn't know how to change it and how to better himself. And this movie just has this really intimate focus. It's like I would say of this entire movie, 90% of the time Jonathan Majors is on the screen. So like you are inextricably bound to this character of Killian. And I think it's Majors. It's probably the best performance I've seen from Majors. And it sucks that like I mean we're all responsible for our own actions at the end of the day, but like it sucks though because it was like I feel for the people who worked on this thing because this could have been, I think, a really acclaimed movie. And it's gotten good reviews, but I just think it doesn't get any publicity and a lot of critics number one didn't know it came out. Number two, don't want to touch it because of the Majors baggage too. And number three, it's not even really easy to find anywhere to begin with. You can rent it on Fandango and Home, but this thing, they really pushed this thing out low key, which is a shame. I get why they did it, but it's a shame. I'm glad it saw the light of day because it's a great movie. It's probably the movie on my list of all the movies on my list. It's probably the one the fewest have seen. But Magazine Dreams with Jonathan Majors, number 3, really enjoyed it.
This just looks like the male substance. I'm
Kind
reading
of
the plot
is.
right now. I know it's not probably it's not
It
exactly
kind
the
of
same
is
thing,
in a way
but
because there's a
but
lot
the
of
overall
body.
themes, yeah.
There's a lot of body, not horror, but body close-ups and things too. That's a good point.
I was expecting like where you could find it on your local Walmart shelf.
That
Oh,
too, ostensibly.
That's just so funny to hear. It's like because this was a movie I was looking forward to till everything that happened with Majors came out, and I was like, ooh, I'm like, I don't know anymore. But like just to hear like you were just walking down Walmart and you went, what the hell? And just like this came out.
Yeah, so when was the last time a DVD told you a movie came out?
That's true.
Like,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? So I was stunned when
It
I
reminds
saw
me
it
of the
because
days of
I'm like,
walking around Blockbuster and being like, "Oh shit, this is out."
I know, right? It was so nostalgic in that moment too, but then I was also mad because I'm like, God damn, feel like you're slipping. You know what I mean? I'm like, I should have known this came out, but it came out very early. I think it came out very late June, and I found it in July.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, check your local WalMarts though.
All right. My number three is none other than One Battle After Another, directed by Paul Thomas Anderson, the PTA meeting himself. This is something that kind of crept up on me because I was kind of consumed by Eddington, not consumed by it, but I felt like I was concerned about this movie coming out of Eddington, which is a much muddier kind of message, a little over the place tonally, and not in a good way necessarily. So looking at one battle after another, I'm like, okay, are we getting the same movie twice here? Is this like Deep Impact to to the Armageddon situation here? But this is very much different. There are similar themes and certainly a similar kind of dystopian world in which we find ourselves in, but for this movie, it has such a much more straightforward plot. But it is what is surrounding it that I think, and the execution of that is very very well done. I just think it's the political dressings around it that, well, one, put it make it very prescient. So in that sense, they kind of struck gold with this in terms of the timing, but also that is probably why everyone keeps comparing it to Eddington. I certainly have and keep doing so. But this is the clear winner for me to the point where it actually makes my list. For for what we see in this movie, just again, what we're seeing in real life, what we saw in Chicago and DC last year, what we are seeing in Minnesota right this very moment, seeing signal chats and blue sky posts just light the hell up, Instagram light up with all of these scenes of federal violence and the people that it hunts down. And in so many ways, the main characters of this movie, the protagonists of this movie, they are they're fighters, right? Freedom fighters. Maybe some might consider them terrorists, but they are very much people who chose to take that direct action. For so many people at which this violence that we see from the federal government, personified by Sean Penn and his underlings, the scary part is that most of them do not ask for it. And in so many ways, I mean, no one deserves this, but in terms of the deservedness, the casualties of this kind of internal strife is what makes this so much more tragic to watch in real time. But you know what? In so many ways, this movie makes keeps it engaging, keeps it driven, with so many wonderful performances. And is there a neat bow that ties up here? Absolutely, because this is a movie. This is a triple A movie. But for me, what I get out of it is its reflections of real life, startlingly sharp reflections of real life, very much now. And may may the endings we see in this movie hopefully materialize as well. That's what I'll say. In terms of where we are in 2026.
Really well said. I think no other movie this year. I was just looking at the Wikipedia page too. This has appeared on at least 50 critics as their number one movie of 2025. I don't think
I'm
any
not
other.
surprised by that.
I'm not surprised either. I think right now it's probably the betting favorite to win it all at the Oscars.
Yeah,
I haven't looked. It's probably that. I would assume though. Certainly Sean Penn, as
yeah.
supporting actor too. I will say it didn't make my top 10. I didn't love it as much as I think everybody else did, but it is a really well done movie and it's remarkably, commendably timeless. I mean, it's pertinent now, but it
Uh-huh.
feels timeless in the way and where it takes place and how it goes about
That's so
what it's
true.
about too.
Yeah. Because I think the immigration enforcement hadn't stepped up to the extent that we're seeing now when this was being written and made.
Oh no, no! I think this is and this has also been a project of PTA's for years. Going back to like the '90s, he wanted to adapt the book on which it's based. You know what I mean? So this thing has had to have gone through multiple different rewrites and stages and stuff. And this is one of those passion projects that you can kind of tell that like, man, passion projects can be very messy if they've been in production for 20, 30 years or so. This is one that actually turned out really really damn well, all things considered, and honestly came out at such an inflection point too. So no, I commend PTA though. PTA is just one of the most fascinating American filmmakers too in general.
Mm-hmm.
I'll
You
speak
are
more
muted.
about this movie later.
He was silenced.
um, but good. Yes, Dom. Everything you said. Again, I will speak on more of that later.
There we go.
My number three. My number three. And Steve, I would like for you to get my number three from last year ready, if you can, please.
Yes, I have it ready.
Um, Gentlemen, what is this?
That's a gaming. Oh no, that's a controller.
It's an Xbox.
That is.
Controller.
That's an Xbox controller.
Throughout the years, Xbox controllers, they got cool designs. This one's a white one. This one's a black one. This is white with a gold plate on there. I have, even though they're not Xbox related, I have a Waluigi and Wario Xbox controller just because, people make cool templates. People do cool modded controllers with them and everything and whatnot. There was a YouTuber by the name of Xbox Modder Controller 360. He's a little kid who had a dream out there and he wanted to do stuff and he had a dream of making a popular YouTube channel and just doing stuff with cool 360 controllers and everything. And having a dream means everything to that kid. It really does. And Steve, what was my number 3 pick last year, if you don't mind saying it?
Dune Part 2.
Dune Part 2. And you know who's in Dune Part 2? The YouTuber known as Xbox Modder Controller 360, Timothy Chalamet. And my number 3 is, of course, the one, the only, Marty Supreme.
There it is.
Modder Controller 360 had a dream. He wanted to make a successful YouTube channel. Instead, he became a movie star. And he made Marty Supreme about a movie about a kid who really wanted to become the best ping pong player in the world, despite being one of the worst people in the world to ever deal with. Directed by Josh Safdie. You can watch it in theaters, and I highly recommend that you do before it leaves theaters. This is a 2.5-hour ride of just pure adrenaline. And it's not even because it's a sports movie. Hell, there's people who are arguing that it has nothing to do with being a sports movie. It's everything but that. I spoke about that last week a bit more. I said it is because of just the drive, the competitiveness that Marty has and everything plays more into just what it means to be like a player and everything. But I didn't get to speak too much else about the movie. Other parts of this movie that I loved, and this is just kind of be like just a mini review of why I gave it 4 stars last week when I came on the show for like 10 minutes. I think this is by far his best performance. I mean, like we brought up last week that Dune Part 2, like, he's just kind of there, and even me who loved that movie, I had to agree. But there's other people throughout this movie as well. Tyler, the creator, has a small but very impactful role in this movie where they pull a hustle together, and the entire time that's going down, I'm like, dude, this can be its own movie. Like, this could be like a spin-off of like Marty Supreme, where it's just they're doing these like hustles to make money like real quick.
Mm-hmm.
I also loved Gwyneth Paltrow's performance in this movie, who like is an aging not superstar, but just she was a movie star and she's trying to revitalize her career. And it's just like the entire time I'm watching her interact with Marty, I'm just thinking to myself, get away from this guy. This guy sucks the life out of people or just ruins them to where they're just like bad things come their way. And wouldn't you know it, by the end of the movie, something not awful happens to her, but she ends up losing a lot of her own property. And then something comes up where it's just like, I don't even know if Marty like was. I thought Marty was gonna cross a boundary there towards the end where he's gonna be like, "Hey, I know everything's kind of messed up right now, but can I still get that one thing you promised me?" One of the show stealers for me in this movie though is Odessa Azion. I believe that's how you pronounce her name. She plays Rachel in the movie as Marty's love interest. Her and Marty are like the same energy throughout this movie. Throughout the entire time, it's like
they're perfect for each other. That was the whole arc, is that they're perfect for each other in the worst ways.
People wanted like that Joker Harley Quinn movie for the longest time. I didn't. But you basically get it with this movie. This is basically the Joker and Harley Quinn relationship. Like, they're chaotic. There's even a little dog involved, like just like her hyenas. Yeah. They are chaotic when they're on screen together. And honestly, as chaotic and crazy as Marty is, you put them together and it's like, oh shit, I don't know what's gonna happen in this scene. I mean, there's a scene where it's just like, all right, everybody, keep your voice down. And she gets pissed off, and where that goes to is just like, oh dear God, this is getting worse and worse by the minute. I know this is only directed by one of the Safdies, but I love the other two Safdie brother movies. Uncut Gems and Good Time are such a rush of just energy and just like watching somebody that is a total piece of garbage of a human being just ruining other people's lives and anything, but just fascinated at how they move throughout life, what they do to achieve what they're doing throughout this movie. And the same goes with Marty. As much as I'm saying he is like a piece of garbage and everything, I couldn't help but feel near the end of the movie though, I'm like, I do want him to get this one thing at least, just this one thing. That is all. And then that's it. I was like, he at least is owed this because he has worked his ass off to be a good ping pong player, and I feel like he's at least owed this one thing. Absolutely amazing film, an adrenaline rush of a film. Josh Safdie like owns this. Benny Safdie with the Smashing Machine, it's not quite as good. A few directing choices in that movie that I didn't feel like were the right thing to do. And honestly, after I saw the Smashing Machine, I was just kind of less interested in this movie because I went like, all right, I guess maybe together they're better, but separately, because the trailers for this movie, I remember seeing them and going, all right, that just looks like another sports movie, but I mean, I'll check it out because it's Safdie and Timothy Chalamet's in it. And it's like quite the opposite of that. You think it's going to be a sports movie, and then like you get about 20 minutes into this movie, and it's anything but that, where it goes into a whole bunch of other directions. The only criticism I had with this movie, and it would have been like higher up on my list, honestly, I wasn't that crazy about Kevin O'Leary's performance. I actually thought he was the thing that kept taking me out of the movie because it just felt like he was just playing Kevin O'Leary. I know some people have said that he was really good in the movie, and they really gave him kudos to, like, you know, as somebody who's not a typical actor, and that's kind of a thing that the Safdie brothers are known for, is taking people who aren't really actors and putting them in their movies. But there was something about, you know, the fact that Kevin O'Leary is basically playing, like, a billionaire, millionaire, and he kind of feels like himself when he's like making deals with Marty, especially when he's like telling him like, I'm a vampire, I do this, and it's just like, okay, now I feel like I'm watching Shark Tank. Like, you know, it's like, if you mess me over, you're gonna be regretting it for the rest of your life. It's like, dude, I heard him say this to a guy who was pitching a thing about pencils having like, I don't know, eraser heads on the top of it or something. Like, you know, it's just like, the fuck. But yeah, my number 3 is Marty Supreme.
Like, didn't he say that to the guy who made the Scrub Daddy? You know?
Yeah, no, dead ass, yeah.
Oh, it's true though. You know, no, I actually like O'Leary. I liked O'Leary's performance. I mean, he's really playing himself, and I think that's why it fits. I'll say I didn't see the Smashing Machine. Dom and I talked about it briefly though, during our Marty Supreme review. I didn't see the Smashing Machine, but I will say, based on what I've heard about it, and then seeing Marty Supreme, it's funny whenever you get like two, you know, singers that split and go off in their own direction, you realize who was responsible for what. It really seems after Marty Supreme, it was like, okay, Josh is the one who wants everything to be jittery and nervous and boil over to something. He wants to keep turning the temperature, the heat up on the metaphorical pot. Like, and I think you get that with Marty Supreme, and it doesn't sound like you get that with Smashing Machine. It sounds like Benny's the more sentimental one.
The
you
Smashing
know,
Machine, all the crazy stuff that happens in that movie feels really cliched, and it doesn't help that it is a sports movie, so you get a lot of sports cliches throughout it too. However,
I
I will
hope.
say, is it The Rock's best performance? Yeah, by far, it really is. But it wasn't enough to make me go like, you have to run out and go see this.
I don't know. He threw himself into Central Intelligence like few could. Anyway, though, shocked the shit out of me with that hot take. I do want to see it eventually, though, no less.
Central Intelligence, yeah.
Oh yeah, yeah. I seen that once. That was enough. It was in color. Anyway, though, keeping our list going, my number 2 favorite film of 2025 is Sinners, a movie that's going to come back around like karma here in the next couple of weeks with the announcements of the Oscars coming soon. I think this movie is poised to maybe be the most nominated movie at the Oscars. That or One Battle. I think it's going to be either of those two are going to get the most nominations. This was a great year for Warner Brothers in particular, which makes it suck with what's going on now with Warner Brothers, which makes
Yeah.
it suck even harder. I kind of wish they would have had a worse year, actually. Now, in hindsight, with all the bullshit going on between them and Netflix, but if you look at what Warner did, and we've been very cynical about Warner Brothers for the last few years with David Zaslav, but Warner had a lot of big hits on director anchored projects this year. If you really want to look, original studio movies, Sinners, One Battle After Another, Weapons, Companion, Mickey
I
17.
didn't know they did Companion as well. That's crazy.
Yep, Companion's on there. I really loved. If we had a most surprising movie of 2025, for me, it would have been a Minecraft movie, frankly, for how much I loved that movie and was really blown away by that damn thing. And also, too, even this wins the award too for horror sequel that has no right to be as good as it is, Final Destination
True,
Bloodlines.
yeah, true.
Like that wins that award, and I know I didn't see it, but a lot of people like Superman, the new Superman movie.
No, honestly, Warner had a great year. For all the shit we talked about Zaslav and Warner Bros. The past few years, this was a year where they gave like a lot to the theater.
Yeah, seriously, that output right there could be called like a year dynasty,
Yeah.
for the movies that they came out with. And Sinners is one of them. We talked extensively about it on the show. It's a Southern Gothic gangster vampire movie. And those styles are on their own, are very overdone. This movie is a class of its own. And I love the fact that Coogler, on the external level, I love that Coogler retains the rights to this thing in 25 years. I love that the rights go back to him directly. I don't know how I want his agent. I don't know how he finagled that. But the thing about Sinners, though, is that like you can watch it and appreciate it on a surface level. It's very enjoyable. First half's like a period drama, second half's a vampire movie. But if you want to dig deeper, it allows you many opportunities to dig deeper about like resistance to a homogenized culture, as well as like survival and things like that. I think there's a lot there too. There's a lot of meat on that bone. Michael B. Jordan, excuse me. Michael B. Jordan plays two different characters, Smoke and Stack. He does dual work extremely well. The soundtrack of this thing is excellent too. The soundtrack in this movie, both the score and the soundtrack with its old Chicago blues, like Pick Poor Robin Clean. My favorite song of the year in any movie, Rocky Road to Dublin. Shout out Jack O'Connell for putting that Irish two-step to work. This is a great film. I want to revisit it before the Oscars, or try to. Yeah, just a great time at the theater. Great movie. And one movie that I really think, after he did Black Panther and the Creed movies, now Coogler, I feel like, he's made his money and he's a made man, and now he can get 9 figures for his own personal projects. And I think that people will line up now for what he's going to do. I do think he's a household name, especially for people who love movies. And I'm absolutely thrilled to see the success that this movie had out of the gate, and also just how effective it is. So Sinners was wonderful. That's my number 2 of the year.
Two things I want to say.
Yeah, honestly.
Oh, go ahead, Don.
Go ahead.
No, go.
No, I just wanted to say that there's a blink and you miss it kind of scene in the exposition where Delroy Lindo is in a car with the other characters, some of the other protagonists here, and that really summarizes the movie so eloquently. The heart
Yeah.
of this film is when, you know what I'm talking about, where Delroy Lindo, he's reacting to, I think they're talking about a lynching or a murder or both in this case, and he just goes and then he starts
Starts
humming and
singing, yeah.
singing into the blues, and it's like that's it. That's pretty much the Black experience in what 15 seconds, and it repeatedly for all of American history to this day, and there's so many flashy, fantastical moments and so many small ones like this in this movie that I just thoroughly impressed with Coogler's first non-franchised movie that he directed
Yeah.
after Fruitvale.
Yes.
Uh, yeah, I'm so happy about it because there was so much in his career. Looking at isolating his career, there was so much buildup. Of like, okay, after Creed, after Black Panther, what does this guy really have now that he's in the big leagues after Fruitvale? And he's just out of the park, out of the galaxy with this one. So happy about it.
Two things I wanted to say. One is his next project, while not original, I'm still so hyped for it. He's doing an X-Files movie. I am so excited for that movie after seeing the amount of stuff he was able to juggle just in this movie. Um, and then the second thing is that like I've seen this movie like 3 times, and like watching it on I watched this and Weapons on Halloween, and it was just like the perfect like way to end like the night was like having two movies that deal with the night as well, and just like slowly as like Halloween is turning to dusk and everything, I threw on Sinners as it's also going to dusk, and immediately after I threw on Weapons, and it was like, oh my god, what a great double feature we got in the same year.
Catherine's a big X-Files fan too, so she's looking forward to that. I can't get into it personally, but I am excited. It's one of those ones where it's like the director has given me the confidence. It's like I'm not in love with Zach Kreger's next movie being Resident Evil. I'm truly not.
Oh, I
But
am.
I have, and I know I'm in the minority, but but I'm not thrilled about it, but I have confidence. Like no, very few people could get my ass to go see a uh um in I totally just lost it there for a second. Totally see a Resident Evil movie. Excuse me. Few people could go get me to see a Resident Evil movie, and but Zach Kreger, I'll give that one a shot. Your
Dominic.
turn,
All
D.
right. Yep. My number two here in 2025 is we're going Looney Tunes, baby. We're going The Day the Earth Blew the Hell Up. This was such a surprise for me. I am so happy about it. There's just something about there's just something about the legacy of the Looney Tunes that feels it coming home. Looney Tunes coming home in 2025 was not something I had on my bingo card because I had written it off. Not just in general, like my whole life. I'm like, man, I think Looney Tunes is cooked. They're not coming back. They are just not coming back in general. And then after the Coyote versus Acme thing, which I'm just gonna write it off until I am in the theater watching it. I know there's
That's how I feel about it
I'm just gonna
too.
wait. Exactly. I'm not gonna hold my breath. I'm just not. But regardless, seeing this in the most classic, Coyote versus Acme is I'm thinking going to be I don't know, with a modern twist, and it's going to be good in that way, which I'm looking forward to. I'm very much looking forward to. But this in so many ways felt so classic to the point where they before Looney Tunes I think was even a proper brand, or before when you think of the Looney Tunes, a specific cast of characters in mind. Way back in the 30s, that wasn't the case. It was not that cast. The OGs coming out of the original, like, throw shit at the wall and just make animated shorts in the 1930s, they were Porky Pig and they were Daffy Duck. And in some cases, they weren't paired up even. In this movie brings it home, and it brings it full full circle, and having them be brothers in this movie just feels right because in so many ways that is what they were without even realizing, without even needing to specifically state it. And there are of course modern twists, modern garnishes on this film, but because it needs to be, if you're going to be a what 90 I don't know the runtime, but I think it's a lengthier movie too, like closer to 2 hours. But for what this movie represents in 2025, it is more than just being a very good and solid Looney Tunes adventure. It is, I think, heralding something. You know what I mean? It is marking something that I hope we're seeing a trend in this cursed studio system. I don't know what kind of studio system we're in now with the streaming services, with the mergers, with everything else. And I believe this movie is striking it. The studio is striking it out on its own. I didn't brush up on my research here with what's happening, but in terms of the distribution, it is kind of you know uh, pioneering its own way out of this cursed movie system, and I'm so happy to see it and to have it be a film here that is so good. And adults are going to enjoy this thing, kids of course are going to enjoy this thing. It's just one of 2025's few but very good success stories.
Very fun to watch in a theater. Very fun to review too. I think you summarize it really cleanly too, because I'm looking forward to Coyote versus Acme for a multitude of reasons. But this was a true
Yes.
throwback kind of a movie, feature length too, not a compilation of shorts. It was very good in that respect. I don't want to shortchange you, Joe. Do you have enough time to give your second pick?
I think I do. I'm also, that's another one I was pissed I didn't go see, was that one, and I still haven't seen it anywhere since it came like just streaming and everything. I don't know if it's on HBO.
Yeah, they're anti-cartoon. I don't know if it is on HBO. To tell you the truth.
Out of
Uh,
all of the yeah.
I
Yeah.
got 6 minutes. Yeah, I can do this real quick. Let's do this. Fucking OBS wants to cooperate with me. That'd be nice. All right, my number 2 was already mentioned on here, so I'll try to make this quick as well because I can just echo everything he said about it. But my number 2 is also Sinners. It's directed by Ryan Coogler. You can watch on HBO Max, but you should go see it in theaters if you didn't. And even if you have seen it before, you should go see it in theaters again, because there is a scene in this movie, especially if you can go see it in IMAX. There is a scene in this movie that made me drop my jaw and go, holy shit, this is what it's like to make movies. It just involves literally a roof being blown off. Like, literally that is happening. Dude, I mean, look, I'm trying to juggle 2 Yoshis right now, a pink and green one. I try to throw this like football into the mix, and I'm barely keeping up with it. How the hell did Ryan Coogler juggle romance, vampires, music, a period piece, action, and the list goes on? And it's just like it all blended
Race
together.
relations.
It all blended together so well. It's like this man could just keep spinning plates on top of one another, and it's just like, oh, okay. Because I thought like, damn, you know what? I'm really enjoying everything. I know vampires are in this movie because I've seen the trailer and everything. But, like, I don't know. I feel like the vampires are going to kind of ruin the mood I'm having with the movie right now. No, they show up and it still keeps going. It still keeps on these themes that it brought up early on. They use the vampires now to, even further extend the themes that they were bringing up earlier. And it's just like, wow, everything in this movie served a purpose. It's actually really cool to see. Like, it's just like, wow, and it's original. Like, wow, this could still be made today. A movie can be original, given $100 million budget, and like actually make back its money. Who would have thunk it? Warner Brothers did, and that's honestly shocking to hear. Yeah, man, I just like, as much as like, I do love going to see like, the next the DC movie, the next Star Wars, the next whatever. Nothing gets me more excited than seeing something like Sinners. I left Sinners going, there's no way that this isn't based on something. Like, the amount of history to these characters and like what's with them. Like, you're telling me this doesn't have like a graphic novel out there? Because that's what it felt like the entire time I was watching. I'm like, this oozes so much like character and coolness that I'm like, this has to be like some graphic novel. No, Coogler did this all on his own. Like, it blew my mind, man. It's his best movie he's made yet. And just like what Steve said, whatever he's doing next, I'm there day one. Like, Christopher Nolan got to sell his Odyssey tickets like a year out ahead of time. It's like, yo, let Ryan Coogler also get some of that, because it's just like this man brought like people going to see movies in IMAX. You know how many times I tried convincing my friends to go see a movie in IMAX and they didn't want to? And then people saw that image of the crowded theater watching the barn scene where he starts strumming the guitar and the roof catches on fire, and they were like, yeah, I gotta go see that on the biggest screen possible. It's just like, this guy did it. This guy did it. So yeah, kudos to Ryan Coogler. It's my number 2 pick. I absolutely love Sinners. It's a damn good movie and a damn good time at the theaters. and I'm gonna go see it for a fourth time when it returns to theaters for its Oscar campaign.
You know it's coming. I know it's coming back to theaters now, probably in February, just for the sake of the Oscars and everything like that. And it definitely deserves another run on the big screen. I'm so glad it lasted like 4 months in most
Same,
markets.
yeah.
It really carried itself to I think June in some places, which is so cool to see because it came out in March of last year. We're gonna take our final Zoom sponsored intermission. We're gonna come back with our honorable mentions as well as our number one pick for our favorite film of 2025. I told you it's a long show. Bracing for it. We'll be back very soon. Just a couple of minutes on Sleepless with Steve, live on YouTube. I will prove to you that I'm one of the biggest Weird Al nerds to ever walk the earth. What is the open? For a half a second, I thought that was Jorma Taccone. But I was like, nah, I don't know if it is. And then sure enough, it is. Kind of weird Andy Samberg didn't show up in this thing. Kind of weird in like one way
I
or
am
another.
too, because they're pulling. Once you bring out like Conan O'Brien and Jack Black, it's like, well, all hands are off. The cameos can fly here. For a second, I thought they got Elton John. Oh, sorry, they got Taron Egerton as Elton John back for a small cameo. I was like a joke within a joke, but I don't think there was no exploitive shot of showing that, so I don't think so.
But no, I wouldn't say that. I don't think that's the case.
In a lesser movie, that cameo scene would have been atrocious. It would have been so cringe. It would have been like, oh, this is where the movie's really gonna die for me, isn't it? But no, it actually holds through just through the raw plot of it all. But also, yes, the fact that it's like, I'm John Deacon. What? Bassist for Queen.
Bassist for Queen,
which is so true that no one knows that name.
And here's the thing. This is where I get my complaint, and I'm in the minority on this.
I think I might even agree with it.
A diehard Weird Al fan. This thing started to run out of steam for me a lot sooner than I anticipated, and it kind of happens with the introduction of Madonna. I think.
Okay.
To me, with Evan Rachel Wood. From there, and again, too, you can't. I really feel like my buddy called me out for it. It's been in my mind. I feel like Roger Ebert when he complained and when he criticized slasher movies for being too bloody. That's how I feel with it. Like
unironically, did he do that?
He did it once or twice. He said like these movies are so gory and nasty and bloody, and we were all like, Roger, that's the point. But and that's how I feel with this movie too. But like. I don't know. Once Madonna gets introduced, like, and I get it starting to abide by like rock biopic structure.
Mm-hmm.
Al becomes a drunk. He becomes a dick. And he starts becoming this like egotistical maniac. And like, I get the trope. I just didn't particularly enjoy it. And then when you introduce Pablo Escobar on top of it, and then when he's just wielding a machine gun in the jungle like he did in his own starring vehicle,
I was gonna
UHF,
say
this thing gets totally off the fucking rails for me.
But it didn't work for you. It didn't home run for you at the least.
It didn't. I'm not going to say it didn't work. It ran out of gas in a way, and it became a little bit exhausting for me personally. Like, I don't know and that's the thing where I wrestle with it, and I've wrestled with myself like the last couple of days going into the show. Like, did I want this to be straightforward in some ways? Did I want it to be dialed down a little bit more grounded? And maybe some ways, yeah. I just almost think that like, and this is a bold thing for as big of a Weird Al fan as I am also not crazy about UHF. I don't know if you've ever seen it. I'm not crazy about UHF. That was his first and only starring role in a movie in 1988. And that was basically like a sketch comedy type of a movie. I wasn't really wowed by that movie. Killer soundtrack to that thing. Great soundtrack. But I wasn't huge on that either. And it almost makes me think that, like, at least for my palate, Weird Al is best in 2 to 5 or sometimes 11-minute songs. Like these contained songs that have like a thesis and an approach and a goal and a parody subject in mind. That's where I kind of thought. I thought like, man, 107 minutes of Weird Al, and like is a lot. And I think that it's just his style of humor and his brand is better as a contained entity in a song. What would you say?
You know what? I don't disagree with you, but you know where it fell off for me actually a little bit. Didn't fall off as hard, but it fell off for me was just kind of the. I think it's before the the Pablo Escobar scene. The fact that we call this movie as a Pablo Escobar scene.
With a straight face.
Before that, I think it's largely the lack of snappiness. It's a very peculiar thing. I know you're talking more chunkier in terms of like, oh, this whole sequence really didn't work as much for me as I thought it would. For me, it's more in the minutia of it. And this can feel nitpicky, but I promise that it is something foundational to the whole thing, where it's like just the hanging on a joke, and the hanging, not just the individual jokes, but the wider jokes of like, hey, this is the part where he's drunk now. Right? He's a wreck, and he breaks up with the band. I'm like, we get it, right? We have not only seen this we've not even seen this real life template play out. We have seen this biographic template play out.
It's a long one tonight. We're back again. This will be the final segment for Sleepless with Steve, live and in living color every Wednesday evening at 6:30 Central Time. We have got our favorite films of 2025. Now, before we pick our number ones, or reveal our number ones more accurately stated, we've got our honorable mentions. In my case, they're not so much honorable mentions. They're rounding out my top 10 list, actually, which you can view in depth at stevepulaski.com. Joe, if you are ready, so am I.
Go for it.
All right, my honorable mentions, a.k.a. 6 through 10 on my list. I'll speed run through them. Number 6 is The Baltimoreans. This is Jay Duplass's most recent movie since Jeff Who Lives at Home back in 2012. This is a wonderful comedy. This is a wonderful romance comedy about a guy who needs emergency dental work on Christmas Eve and then meets this dentist who's recently divorced. Really lovely movie. Worst thing they did for this movie was release it in fucking August when it's borderline a Christmas movie. Worst thing they could have done was put this thing out in August. It's a really fun movie. The Baltimoreans, it's on AMC Plus. Strange Harvest is my number 7. One of my favorite horror movies of the year, a really brilliant fake documentary about a disgustingly depraved serial killer named Mr. Shiny. This movie is done like a CSI sort of examination of the serial killer's 2 separate reigns of terror, but the crime scenes and the wealth of setup that they did in this movie is like that of a Saw movie cranked up even a notch further. It is a really, really disgusting movie. And there's not really much violence in it. It's really the aftermath of these crime scenes that they show. Peter Zizzo, too, one of the best performances in any horror movie as the detective on the quote-unquote case. Strange Harvest, number 7. Marty Supreme is number 8. Love the wealth of actors in this movie on top of just a great story that you can part and parcel, and we kind of done that last week on Sleepless with Steve. You can kind of debate whether it's a sports movie, whether it's not a sports movie, has sort of that wild side of Uncut Gems, but I think maybe in some ways is a little bit more threaded narratively than Uncut Gems. Uncut Gems is more of a pot boiler and lacks control, where Marty Supreme is a movie where the character always has to be in control. That's part of his type A personality. Marty Supreme, number 8. The Luckiest Man in America is number 9, a movie made exclusively for me and very few other people. Glad we got to review this on the show. I don't think this made anybody else's top 10 list but mine. I have a deep love and lore for Press Your Luck, but I think this is not only a fitting dramatization of the 1984 Press Your Luck scandal, look it up, but it's also true to its subject matter insofar that it provides a strange snapshot in TV history and is so lovingly conceived frame to frame. Luckiest Man in America, number 9, also on AMC Plus, sneakily becoming a great streaming service, I might add. And then number 10 is Springsteen, Deliver Me From Nowhere. On one hand, I'm upset that this movie didn't do better at the box office, but on another hand, this is the kind of movie that just people are going to find or kind of watch on TV. This is not your typical music biopic. It's not a series of needle drops. This movie tells a more deep and intimately personal story about Bruce Springsteen after he's already a made man in music, who really wants to kind of cut back, go back to his home region of Colts Neck, and write this really bitterly sad rural album called Nebraska, which isn't my favorite album of his, but it's one of his most important, and it loans itself probably. I think any of his albums could make a great movie, but I think the production behind this one, his sort of antsiness as an artist and his battle with like depressive thoughts is showcased really well in this movie. And I also think Scott Cooper is really an underrated director. He's made movies about troubled musicians like Crazy Heart. He's made introspective stories like Out of the Furnace, and he's made a movie like this that I think is really penetrates the psyche of Bruce Springsteen, and it's a somber. It's about as somber and experimental as Nebraska is an album too. So Springsteen, Deliver Me from Nowhere rounds out my top 10 of the year list right there.
Hell yeah. Should we go through my honorable mentions?
Yes,
Is that what
indeed.
we're doing? All right, here we go. So honestly, I don't do them in numbered form, but the big shocker here is my honorable mention. My number 6 is Sinners. It did not crack my top 5. And
Really?
frankly, I was shocked by that
I'm
too.
I was
shocked
too.
too.
I got to this page. I went, "Why the fuck is Sinners here?"
I thought that was your number one to a T. I really did.
Yeah, I was when I saw it, I'm like, this is my number 1 for sure. But then it was processed by elimination. I wasn't even thinking about Sinners until I was going through my list, and I'm like, no, I think these 5 movies that I have are, I don't think I can, Sinners can crack these top 5. And but it is easily my 6. And I'm not even just saying that as a, consolation or anything. It really was truly up there. But just something, I guess something about warfare as someone who, I think I've been just watching a lot of news. No, I've been watching a lot of war movies and clips on YouTube of war movies, and I'm like, yeah, no, I think this is, and I'm comparing and contrasting that to me because I grew up watching a lot of that stuff, and I'm into like military stuff
it
as
makes sense because
well.
Maverick was your number 1 the year it came out. Like, I mean, I
Yeah.
get why like Warframe would probably be higher up for you as somebody who has the. And you explained it while you were explaining your Maverick pick as well.
Hmm. But we all know Steve Pulaski's number 1 is going to be I Like Movies because it's about a depressed white boy, you know, watching movies. That's basically, we know that's going to be his number 1.
That
But
was
no, no,
last year.
that's true. That's true. But I'm just put it anyway because I think we watched it this year. Uh, Predator Badlands, on Hard Truth. Predator Badlands, Hard Truths, and Nosferatu. Just great one, just different movies, obviously. But for Hard Truths, I can't believe I put Predator Badlands and Hard Truths in the same sentence. But but yeah, these are all just very satisfying movies for what they are trying to do. One is art house, one is a deep family drama, and one is an alien kind of sci-fi romp, and it's a damn good time. 28 years later as well. I can't wait for the Bone Temple. And I think those are the ones that Steve didn't mention because obviously I could talk about them more too, but we'll keep these in their honorable
Final
mentions.
Destination
So,
was one he didn't mention actually.
oh, that you're right.
Yeah, I
Thank
want to
you.
give
Yes,
you like,
Final
a shout out
Destination.
for putting down your list. That's cool.
Yeah,
Interesting.
I'm not a big Final Destination guy, but and I think I'm more of a Scream guy than a Final Destination guy.
Yeah.
But in terms of what Bloodlines was, I had a very good time with it. It was a fun time. It did it very competently. The 1960s, the beginning was a very inspired choice, and I'm glad they went that direction. And then they tied it all together there too. That was cool.
Running through mine real quick. Number 10 is 28 Years Later. Also very excited for Bone Temple. Number 9 is The Naked Gun. Dude, with how this year has been, I just needed to laugh at the theater. And I got to do it a lot, like Steve said, with stuff like One of Them Days as well as Good Fortune. Which I'll bring those up in just a second. But
Mhm.
Naked Gun made me laugh the hardest to where my stomach was hurting from how hard I was laughing. Number 8 is Companion. If you know nothing about this movie, keep it that way and just watch it. Trust me, you'll thank me later. Number 7, Wake Up Dead Man, my favorite so far of the Knives Out movies. I really enjoyed this one a lot. It's really due to the fact that Rian Johnson has found a way to make a more darker mystery film, yet can take LeBlanc and pluck him in there, and he feels right at home with his goofiness that he is as a character. I also really enjoyed Josh O'Connor's arc that he had in that movie, and I felt like his whole thing about religion and what he brings up with it throughout the movie. It's such a fascinating thing that deals with religion in general and how people use it as a scapegoat. But Josh O'Connor is actually trying to be like this true Catholic in belief and whatnot. And I won't go any further than that. It's a very cool arc that he goes to that movie. And then probably the review I was punching the air that we had to miss, unfortunately, due to scheduling conflicts on all of us, is my number 6, which is Train Dreams. Dude, I cried through this movie about like 3 times. I mean, this movie hit home. Not that I cut down trees for a living or anything, but just like it was just like fascinating watching this man's life from point A to point B and to the end, and like not him understanding what the point of his life is, what his purpose is, until the very end of the movie, and figuring. And you probably think that's so sad he doesn't know that until the end of the movie. No, the way he discovers it is actually like a really beautiful and wholesome moment. Yeah, so those are my 6 through 10. In terms of honorable mentions, my blockbuster of the year, F1, absolutely loved it. The movie that I will probably never watch ever again, but will recommend people to go watch, The Long Walk. Absolutely had a great time with that movie and cried several times. Never want to watch it again, though. Good Fortune, another great comedy. And then finally, I'm going to bring up a certain movie on my worst stuff list, but Novocaine. And Novocaine is the complete opposite of the other movie that I will be bringing up next week when we do our show. But just, Novocaine is a romantic comedy action film done right compared to what I'll bring up next week.
I think I'm going to bring up that same movie next week. I think I'm going to bring up that
at the beginning of the year.
I think I'm going to bring up that same movie next week. Novocaine was very slept on, though.
Yeah,
Novocaine was very low key, and I liked it. I thought it was a clever concept. I thought it was clever. I really liked the performances in that movie too. Yeah, we watched some really good low key indie movies too this year too, like Hard Truths. You know what I mean? I thought like you guys both impressive rounding outs of the list there too. We will continue, though. We got to reveal our number 1 pick, because now I'm curious. I thought for sure Dom was going to pick Sinners. I don't know what the hell he's going to pick now. So, and obviously I'm curious to you too, Joe. Without further ado, my number 1 favorite film of 2025 is Weapons. That is my pick for number 1 this year. Wow. Zach Cregger's Weapons. When a script is so good that Jordan Peele is incensed that he couldn't get his hands on it and winds up parting ways with his agent, you know it's interesting. So this thing had great buzz for everybody but Jordan Peele right off the bat. And I actively avoided every nugget of news, rumors, spoilers, and trailers for Weapons leading up to this thing, to the point when I watched it in the theater, when Catherine and I saw it, I didn't even know Josh Brolin was in the fucking thing until watching it. We successfully avoided everything. Yeah, I didn't know a damn thing about this going in, man. I tried to be, all I knew was the poster. That was all I knew and all I wanted to know. This movie earns itself a place alongside other great horror movies of recent years like Hereditary and my number 1 pick last year, Longlegs, because from the jump, it compels you with a mystery that has stumped authorities and left like townspeople emotional. So right off the bat, it compels you on that level too. It brings out the murder mystery junkie in us all. And I love to, with Zach Cregger incorporating his like grieving process for the death of his friend Trevor Moore from The Whitest Kids You Know into this movie too. I won't go long-winded into it here because we did that in our review, and I do it on my review at stevepulaski.com. But the 6 characters in this movie and the 6 perspectives you follow in this movie are essentially 6 different ways that you could see Cregger grieving the loss of Trevor Moore. And he didn't say explicitly that's what they were, but he said he wrote this movie as part of his grieving process. So you can kind of read into it that way as well. It's a fascinating mystery. It has a climax that will have you rolling and sighing in relief too. It'll have you laughing your ass off. It's a great shot and a great moment, preceded by just total silence. It's a great It also solidifies that Kreger's ability, like we showed in Barbarian, is not a one-off. His ability to kind of flip the script on you and turn your expectations over, and also juggle a handful of different perspectives and places in time, is really commendable. For a guy that's background is in comedy, how seamlessly he has integrated himself into horror. I think the likes of which we haven't really seen on that level since Jordan Peele. He's not as topical as Jordan Peele is with his themes, but he's just a strong, confident writer and filmmaker. And his directorial skills, I would even argue, evolved in Weapons with his framing and his ability of how he wanted certain scenes conducted and such. This thing will stick in your mind too. It really will. It'll stick in your mind. It'll stay with you. How well this is, kind of a Rashomon structure of this movie too. It's on HBO Max, so I'm grateful that it's really accessible. Weapons is my number one. This is now 2 for 2. Kreger Barbarian was number 10 on my list in 2022. Kreger's all the way up to number one with Weapons though. So
Wow.
again, one of the only people that can get me even remotely excited for Resident Evil, which comes out later this year, FYI, too. Comes out later this year. Very excited for what Kreger does next. I think his stock is rising alongside. I mean, I can't really say Coogler. Coogler's got like 6 movies. Coogler's already a made man. Kreger's got the fastest rising stock of any director I can think of at this point in time.
I did the same thing you did before the movie came out, but I did go on the fake website they made about finding the missing kids because I was like, this is kind of cool because I feel like you won't get much out of this, and you really don't, but it does give you like a little bit of hints of like who the characters kind of are. Like it goes into Julia Garner's character and Josh Brolin's character a bit, but that's about it. And like it was cool to kind of just be like seeing a different side of promoting a movie that we don't typically get to see, which is like the fake website thing.
No, I love the fake website thing. Birthdaymurders.net from
Yeah,
Long
Long
Legs.
Legs.
Still
That was a
active.
good one too.
Still active.
Dom, whenever you are ready, my man. I'm curious to know what this
All
is.
right. My number one for 2025 is The Naked Gun.
Okay.
What? No
Yeah, I know,
way.
right?
My second guess was Ephus.
Yeah, that honestly, that would have been up there too. But in terms of what my number one pick is, it has to be this. What movie brought me more joy and more, but bringing history with it, a history with it as well. This was from at least from what I'm looking here, this is a pretty good year for like Lego sequels, reboots, franchise films. Talking about Final Destination, Predator slash Alien, I guess you could say. I didn't even watch the actual Alien movie that came out. Nosferatu, 28 years later. This was actually
Hell,
a
even
pretty good.
Superman finally got people back. Like,
Oh my
yeah.
god. Oh, dude. Okay, that should be on my honorable mentions. Honestly, it should be. I love the Superman movie from 2025. James Gunn's here. I'm looking forward to see what he does next. But for me, Naked Gun holds a special place in my heart just because that brand of comedy, that style of comedy, honestly, it didn't even last during its own run because by the end of, if you look at Liam Neeson's career, he's got a lot of stinkers, especially towards the end. But we just, it is what it is. The guy has to work. It's fine. I'm not a big proponent of your career has to be a perfect 10 the whole time. But for what this Naked Gun reboot is, it's not only uh, uh, a beautiful chapter in Liam Neeson's career, in the Lonely Island's career, specifically Akiva Schaffer, but for the Naked Gun itself, it is long deserving of. Should it have had a sequel anyway? A very good philosophical debate to have. But if it's gonna have one, I'm very much happy that it's this because it could have dropped the ball in so many different ways. It could have gone too modern. It could have ramshackled itself too much to the past. It could have, tried to do something just completely different in an experimental and maybe even noble way, but completely land on its face. But what it did here was absolutely beautiful. And like I was talking about with Looney Tunes, this movie has its garnishings of modernisms in as well, not just in its setting, but in what it does. I don't think the original Naked Gun movies had too much directly to say on like policing in America. Maybe you could say inherently just what it was. The 2025 movie, maybe not directly, but man, it pokes some hard punts towards the police, even towards what it does with the very last like credit scenes. But my favorite line in this movie still is, it's like, "Hey, you're Frank Drebin. You killed my brother. I've killed a million, or not killed. I'm sorry. I've cracked heads of a million different lowlifes in this city. You killed him. That's 100. You shot him in the back while he was running away. That's like a dozen different guys. He was white. Oh, you must be Frank's brother, right? Like just beautiful, beautifully written lines like that. I completely butchered the quote. Yeah, I butchered the line, but you really need to watch it I cackled. I loudly laughed at this movie so many different times.
Yeah.
And it brought me joy. I was happy about it. Like, and it's comforting in a way that I truly haven't felt since probably watching the original Naked Guns, which I probably need to watch again.
Yeah, it's my favorite comedy of the year. Like out of the comedies I saw in theaters and everything, it was the one that made me laugh the loudest and hardest, like
Mm.
consistently through too.
C- Come on, Drevin, you're gonna ruin another pair of pants.
There's so many great one liners. Dude, I rewatched that on Paramount Plus the other day. The scene that just kills me for no reason. It's got because then there's like times when you rewatch a comedy movie, then like just little shit makes you laugh. But it's the guy who talks about like crab people being like a real thing. He's like, I have a photo right here on my and he pulls up his phone and you actually can like see the crab person. That shit cracks me up every time.
And it runs the gambit too. There's smart dialogue, and then there's also stupid ass shit like that, right?
Yeah.
There's also like a type of joke I like to call
Oh, you
smart
punched me in the
stupid.
stomach. That hurts.
The delivery here is great. It's one of those movies too where the type of discussion where it's like, oh man, what if they had done this back in the 80s or the 90s or with this
Yeah.
movie? They did it. They just did it.
Yeah.
Right? Hey, what if Liam Neeson was in a movie franchise that starred Leslie Nielsen and it's the same type of. They did it. They just freaking did it, and it was fantastic. It's a 4-star movie. I don't know if I gave that movie 4 stars. It
You
should.
did.
It
You and I
definitely
gave
is
it
four
four
You did.
stars now.
stars.
Okay, good.
I love
Because
Paul
yeah,
Walter Hauser too.
Yeah.
Paul Walter Hauser underutilized in this film, but it wasn't to its detriment because I think
I love when he
maybe he
starts serving the beard of the miner.
can.
I like the electric car. I like his involvement in the electric car scene.
Yeah.
what we're doing right now. What we're doing right now is the sign of a fantastic movie
Oh
because
yeah,
It's
we could
true.
sit here for the next 40 minutes and be like,
I could
yeah,
do a
remember
top
that
10
joke?
of,
Remember
like,
that
my
joke?
favorite moments in the new Naked Gun. Like, it's like, oh god, dude, yeah.
Top 50 jokes from the new Naked Gun. Like that's what we're dealing with here, and it's
Pamela
so good.
Anderson's jazz club scene where she's going skip it, and then the villain was like, yeah.
She's great
Oh my
too.
god.
Pamela
Yeah.
Anderson
Yeah,
was
I also forgot to mention another great
really
bookmark in
terrific.
another great chapter in Pamela Anderson's career here. Between her and Neeson, and I know there's that whole romance thing happening in real life. We'll see where that goes, but that's another just happy little thing that comes out of this movie. Yeah, just and the but the thing that the thing that puts it over the top for me is that not only is this just a good movie on its own, it is a good legacy in so many different ways for the Naked Gun, for these actors, for the Lonely. I keep saying Lonely Island, but Akiva Schaffer, who is oftentimes in the shadow of his more well-known counterpart. No one's fault. That's just how the chips
Yeah.
lie, right? But the chips fall. But for everyone involved here, this just seems to be a great success story. And out of everything I watched, this made me the most happy and made me feel a way that I don't get in the movies anymore. So I'm very happy about it.
Well said.
It's funny because like I think your previous best of year list, the one we did in 2023 of the 2022 movies, you put Chip and Dale because he directed that, and that wasn't like that high up, but it was I think it was like number 7 for you because you were just like
Yeah, what
you
a
loved like
damn.
how like meta he got with it and everything about just studio process and all this other shit.
And that's what he needed. He needed to, in order to make this, he needed to do that.
Yeah.
Not that that's a bad thing, but just in the sense,
No, no,
sometimes for some careers, they can be seen as a bad thing, but that's the life. That's
no,
the life.
I going back and I've rewatched that movie, not when Naked Gun came out, but like I was thinking about that too. It's like no, like the stuff he brings up in Chip and Dale is like almost like a little tease of like yeah, like that's why it probably Naked Gun works for him so well because it was just like there's like little bits of humor in that are very similar.
I tend to defend him more than most, and he's a producer on this movie, but I'm glad he didn't write and direct it. I think it would have been good. I don't know if it would have been as good as this because I think The Lonely Island has more of the humorous tones that The Naked Gun has. But I do think this movie has benefited from some, not explicit, but some input from Seth MacFarlane.
Yeah.
I agree. I think so. I don't know if it would have been as good if he would have written and directed it. It might have been a little
Just
bit
a
too
hint. That's
aside
what we
driven.
needed.
Yes, like
Yeah.
he is the paprika of the material. You know, he very much is.
When
Uh
the book closes on Seth MacFarlane, when his career has ended, and we look back on his whole rap sheet, it's obviously going to be a good one, a positive one. I think
Honestly,
there's
yeah.
going to be the debate over Family Guy, starting strong and then just floundering or whatever, right? But for the most part, it's like no, this guy was just a net positive for it seemed to be a net positive for the industry and his
Still
output, but
I
with the
agree.
Orville especially, yeah.
The Orville definitely.
still the
Mhm.
best Oscar host in my opinion too.
I
That is
agree with that
still
too.
my favorite
Up
one.
there, yeah.
Um God, man. Shit, that should almost be my number 1 from how long we were talking about
Hmm.
it. All right, my number 1 movie of 2025 is A House of Dynamite. No, I'm fucking with you guys. It's one battle after another.
I'm like, wait a fucking second.
I actually had a whole other thing, but like we've been going on too long. I was gonna do a whole joke about it being Superman, and I was gonna be like, oh, it's a theme. It's a movie that deals with themes of immigration. There's an evil billionaire working in the shadows and all this other stuff. And I was gonna be like, it's Superman. No, I'm just kidding. It's one battle after another because like similar things. But let's just get right into it. Everything that Don brought up totally applies to why it's in my number 1 spot. But other reasons why that it's in my number 1 spot is just like the overall filmmaking that Paul Thomas Anderson did here. By the way, this movie's on HBO, and when it gets re-released in the theaters, you should go see it. The filmmaking that Paul Thomas Anderson does here, I thought was probably some of his best by far. I was blown away by so many parts of this movie. I know everybody talks about the highway chase scene and like just how cool that was of like actually like mounting the camera to the hood of the car and then like it actually felt like you're going whoa and up and down, like it actually had that like stomach drop feel to me. But the rooftop escape when the federal agents are breaking into Benicio del Toro's sensei Mike, when they're breaking into his like dojo and they're about to arrest all the immigrants they're in there and everything, and everybody's like escaping in different ways. The whole buildup of that of like as Bob, Leonardo DiCaprio's character, is trying to make a call and everything, and whole hilarious scene right there too about him trying to like remember a passcode in order to get to like somebody in order to find out where his daughter's at. While that's going on, it's just this long tracking shot as Benicio del Toro's character is walking in the room and people are escaping in different ways, packing up different things. And then we go on the rooftops of this city as a riot is happening. And it's as scary and like tense and like crazy of a situation as this is. It was beautiful to look at. I mean, I was just like, oh my God, man. Like, this looks amazing. And just the way it's shot, I'm on the edge of my seat the entire time watching it. It's scenes like that. There's other scenes too where they're beginning raids on houses of the former French 77 members' houses, and it's just like the tension in this movie. It just kept ramping up and up and up and up to where like man, even I know like this movie got a lot of shit from certain people because of the politics it brings up and everything, but I just couldn't help but be like, look, politics aside, this is just damn good filmmaking. This is just
Really
some of
is.
the like it really is. Like I mean, I like look, if you're gonna throw your arms in the air and be like it's promoting these terrorists and everything, like fine, whatever. you gotta admit though, like it's shot so
Yeah,
damn
fine.
good. It's directed so damn good, and then it's not fine, really. It's not, but it's directed so damn good. It's everything about it is so well done, and performances across the board, man. I know I talked about how like Weapons had my favorite cast and everything, like ensemble cast, and everybody was firing on all cylinders. This one has that as well, and it's probably my second favorite cast of the movie, even though this is my number one. I mean, just because of other reasons, but I mean, Leonardo DiCaprio, dude. Everybody talks about like, he should have won the Oscar for playing Jordan Belfort. He should have won the Oscar for this role and everything. I'm not saying he's gonna win the Oscar for this, but it felt really cool to see this guy. And Steve, I think we talked about this during the review. Dom, I can't remember if you were there during the review, unfortunately. Because no, we gave you 10 minutes to give your own review. That's right, you weren't
Yes.
there.
Mm. Oh, that's right. Yeah, and I did a whole thing. Yeah.
Yeah. Me and Steve talked about how like, man, Leo has gone from being like this very serious dramatic actor and everything, from starring in stuff like The Revenant and The Aviator and Shutter Island and everything, to now more recently he's in dramas still. Don't get me wrong, like this is still a drama movie, but like he takes a more comedic approach now to these characters he's playing. And I don't know if it's because he's getting older now or something, but like stuff like Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, Don't Look Up, and now his character here, Bob from One Battle After Another, is not only like one of my favorite performances. I mean, one of my favorite characters he's played. It's one of my favorite performances he's done, and it's because, man, seeing Leo play a dad was actually really heartwarming. Like there was something to it that I was like, man, maybe it's because we haven't seen him do this. And maybe it's because like it felt good to actually know like, hey, he's not gonna date like a 20-year-old in this movie or something. Like it's like the 20-year-old is actually his daughter. Like, it felt like, wow, I've never seen Leo do this, and also him playing like a stoner pothead added to that as well. That like, man, he knocked it out of the park. I mean, he always does for sure, but like this felt really refreshing to see from Leo. Sean Penn is my villain of the year. As much as I love Remy
Yeah.
from Sinners, dude, Colonel Lockjaw, like talk about a guy that I hated every moment he was on screen, but I couldn't wait to see him back on screen because it's like I want to know what the hell this POS is gonna do now. Like
This is like the ultimate Sean Penn kind of role,
no,
right?
It
Like, I
really
don't-
is.
It really is. To me, he is my lock of best supporting actor. I think he's
Hmm.
got that in lock. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe somebody else has it. Maybe somebody could bring it up, and I'll be like, oh yeah, you're right. I already talked about Benicio earlier, like and just like that whole scene, but like that whole time that he is remaining calm and he's doing all that, it just is so stoic. It's so cool. I love just how like clean his character is, and not clean as in like cleanliness. No, like everything he does is just so smooth. It's just so cool. Like he is the essence of cool as that character as Sensei. Um, but the real knockout here is a character. I mean, yes, the newcomer as well. What's her name? Tiana? No, not Tiana. I'm sorry.
Chase Infinity?
Chase Infinity. Yep. She's great as well for her first starring role, especially to go up against the actors she's doing scenes with, Leo, Sean Penn, many others. She's great as well. But Tiana Taylor, man, she's only in this movie for 20 minutes, yet her presence remains felt throughout the whole movie. And that's just amazing. To like you have that much screen time. You're also only at the beginning of the movie. It's not like you're 20 minutes throughout the movie. No, it's 20 minutes of the beginning, and that's it. You're not seen or heard from throughout the rest of the movie. Yet like her presence is felt there because of who Bob is as a character and who Chase Infinity is as a character as well. It's just like what those two characters resemble is Tiana Taylor's Perfidia. Like that is
Perfidia Beverly Johnson, yeah.
yes. They represent her in different ways, and it's just like that's so cool that like PTA wrote a character like that. She's only in there, but yet her presence is felt because of the two characters that kind of stem off of her as well, which is Bob and her daughter. Yeah, man, I absolutely love this movie. I think it's such an amazing story. It's shot amazingly, it's acted brilliantly, and it's got one of the coolest climaxes and just action sequences. They're not like really adrenaline pumping action sequences like a movie I brought up earlier, Novocaine, or like Predator Badlands, another action movie I love this year. But like the tensity and just like you caring about the well-being of these characters, bro. I was on the edge of my seat throughout all of it. I absolutely love this movie. I know like it's the general pick to go with because all the other critics are putting on their list, but dude, man, yeah, I gotta join in on the wagon here because it's damn good.
And that wraps up each of our favorite films of 2025. What a great list, gentlemen. Really appreciate your time. Joe, excellent job with the slideshows too, managing all of that
Thank
too,
you.
as usual. Doing such a great job. I emphatically appreciate that. We're doing it all over again next week because you can't have the good without the bad. We have got our top 5 or bottom 5, however you want to call it, worst films of 2025 show next week. And then we're back to reviewing 2026 movies. Then we get started on a brand new calendar. So looking forward to revealing our picks for the worst of 2025. I'll give a monologue about that next week. In the meantime, though, check out these movies. You can get my full list at stevepulaski.com and my reviews as well. Thanks again to Dominic Guanzon and Joe Viso coming with the heat. As always, this is our best show of the year for a reason. And next week, it'll be our worst show. Worst of 2025. That's our show tonight. For Dominic Guanzon, Joe Viso, and yours truly, thanks for hanging with us tonight. It has been Sleepless with Steve.